It's weird seeing the delay. Am I live? I don't know. Excuse me a minute while I try to figure out if I'm live by asking someone. Okie dokie. I tried to clip the microphone to the side of the bed, so hopefully it'll be far enough away from my whirring laptop fan to not pick up sounds. And I'm gonna go ahead and have some music playing on the TV. Hopefully it's not too loud, because my tinnitus is going pretty crazy with the computer fan, so anything to kind of cut that is always appreciated. I'm just gonna start painting because I don't know what to say. Yeah, crazy times. I love these little trays. I don't know how well you can see them, but they're really cool for keeping a bunch of pre-mixed little paints separate. And usually keeps them from drying out. I kind of have to spritz them every now and then. It took me an It took me way too long to try to figure out a decent setup for where to put this canvas and where to put the camera. I don't know how Bob Ross makes it look so easy. I also don't know if chat is working. I have no idea. My idea for this stream was just basically to hang out and, I don't know, maybe talk about some things as they come to mind, but I wanted to practice some automatic drawing, except since I'm not as much of a line art illustrator kind of person, I'm more into using color a lot. I thought maybe I would try to do the automatic drawing with paint instead of like pen and ink or pencil, because it's really hard for me to work in black and white or anything like that. I can do it, but it just doesn't really feel natural, or like it doesn't soothe my mind to look at it in the same way. you. And thank you for swinging by to help me figure out whether or not the stream was working. I know it's like insanely late or early, but you know, I've got that delayed sleep phase syndrome, so I just kind of sleep whenever sleep hits me and then have to stay awake until I get exhausted, because if I try to sleep before I'm exhausted, I'll just toss and turn and have a terrible time. So, yeah. Yeah, I tried to do that regular sleep thing because, especially when I was going through a lot of health issues a couple years ago. I mean, I still am going through them, but they're a lot better than they had been. But, you know, reading up, going to the Google hole of things, and how a regular sleep schedule is super essential and you shouldn't look at blue light between these hours and that, and you just, I sat there reading up about all sorts of different things that the health problems could be that I was experiencing. You know, autoimmune stuff's really like vague, so the symptoms can be very generalized. And yeah, the anxiety about all the things did not help, and the medicines that they tried to give me didn't really help either. And trying to sleep and force myself to sleep when I couldn't just made me feel really extra broken. And yeah, like even now I still wake up probably, I don't know, 6 times or more throughout the night or day whenever I'm sleeping. But at least like when I do fall asleep, it feels like I'm actually kind of resting. Whereas for a while there, it just felt like I was laying in bed and getting achier and achier for no reason. So, yeah. Of course, it's very privileged that I have the chance to even go with the flow as far as my sleep schedule is concerned, because obviously it doesn't really allow me to have a proper job or get myself done other than taking care of house stuff. But I don't know. I try to just figure it out as I go, and I'm really glad that I live in Wisconsin now, because I've actually been able to apply for healthcare through Badger Care, I think it's called. Whatever. I don't know specifically which term applies to which thing, but I've got a network health plan now that theoretically I should be getting hooked up with a doctor in the near future. But, I mean, that was kind of before all this stuff exploded, so we'll see how that goes, because it's probably not a super big priority. But yeah, I'm super grateful that, like, I'm making progress with my health stuff a little bit at a time, one way or another. Because I legitimately felt like I was 80 years old for a while there, and not a healthy 80-year-old. Like, it was wild. But I don't want to be a downer and talk about health stuff too much. I had a really cool dream last night. That was like, I have a lot of flying dreams in general. Probably has to do with the way that I sleep. But it was a really cool flying dream where I would kind of like float up rapidly, and then I would lose my sense of self. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, a lot of times in my dreams, I won't necessarily be myself. I'll be, you know, just either seeing it from third person, or I'll be somebody else, or there won't really be a person in the thing. I've had a lot of dreams that are kind of just like Tetris, basically, except not exactly, but that kind of sense of like you're just a bunch of shapes and moving around rather than a specific narrative. I have those normal dreams too sometimes. But anyway, my dream last night was really cool because it was a combination of like something familiar when I was down on the ground, and then when I'd float up into the air. I just kind of saw, it was kind of like I think it's the Windows 95 flag, but not exactly. That's just the closest. Oh, hey, I could paint it. I'll just go ahead and paint it as an explanation, because it was a symbol, kind of like this shape, but it had 4 different colors in each quadrant. So I'll just go ahead and I don't remember which color went where, but we'll just do whatever. So yeah, it felt really neat, very tactile, because when I'd float up into the air, it had like that kind of weightless feeling, and then I'd start to fall towards the ground, but it didn't feel like panicked falling. It felt like, I don't know, kind of like trustful, I guess, because I just knew, or I thought I knew, that I wouldn't hit the ground like hard, and every time that I came back down, I did. I just like softened my fall right as I got close to the ground, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's really hard to express things from dreams like that. I've had dreams before where I wrote poetry that I was so like astounded by, and I thought for sure it rhymed in the dream, and then I tried to write it out afterward, and I'm like, this shit does not rhyme, and it is not impressive. It's funny how your brain just kind of fills in the blanks like that. It gives you the impression of things. I really feel so much like discount Bob Ross trying to talk about dreams and paint things. I'm not as positive as him, though. So I find a little bit more catharsis in dark humor and other things like that. Though I don't know how much of that will come through on the stream because I'm super anxious and I don't know what to say. Come on, open you. This one's stuck shut. Let's see. I don't have any like yellow out. I don't use yellow very much in my art. Woo! I must use it for something though, because this is real low. Don't remember. Not because I'm trying to paint something that like specifically was something in my dream. Now I'm frustrated with that because it's like, I know that's not what it looked like. Kind of makes me think of Steven Universe when I think about it though, because the 4 different shapes kind of being diamond-like that. Oh, and I forgot to get a towel to wipe my paintbrushes off with. Maybe I could be millennial Bob Ross. I don't know. That's ambitious. I just like to make colors happen mostly. Like with all my pinup art and everything, basically my excuse for that has always been I just like literally eye candy. Whether that's colorful or just like pleasing curves or whatever, I like eye candy. So, yeah. When I first started drawing, like a million years ago though, I was very into realism, but it's kind of feels like showing off to me now. I don't know whether that's how it is for everybody or whatever, but now it's like way too much effort to get a lot of detail for something that, you know, a camera can essentially do. And sure, like it's really cool to be technically impressive with your drawing, but I think for the most part it's just good. No, don't. My computer wants to restart and update. Please do not. Do not do that. Pick a time. How about way later? Because I'm doing a thing. So this is the thing. These updates, like they think they want to run an update outside of active hours. I'm going to set it for 9:42 a.m. because if I'm still streaming by then, I probably shouldn't be. Oh, thank you. I just redid my hair recently. Here, so you can see the back. I even shaved the back by myself, which I like doing my own hair, but boy, you get a lot of those stupid little hair splinters and itchy hairs in your shirt and everything, even using the, whatever they call it, the cloth that you put over your shoulders. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, I love doing my own hair because I can sit there and nitpick it and take all the time that I want to. And I think the first time I got frustrated having somebody else cut my hair, well, I mean, to be fair, I had almost no haircuts throughout my entire life at a barber place because I had really, really long hair for a while, like down to my butt long hair. And part of it was that my hair is kind of like thin, so I think I wanted to like keep as much of it as I could, but it's kind of counterproductive because actually when you grow your hair out long, I think it's more likely to seem thinner. But you know, I was really at that time of my life more anxious about presenting feminine because I grew up in a very religious church kind of situation, and there wasn't really gendered non-conforming options in that. So I wanted to look feminine and pretty like the other girls, and that's really just never been kind of what my hair on my head versus my body hair ratio has ever lent itself to, and plus, you know, my feelings. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, the first time I was disappointed with a haircut at a barber place, I was like 20 something, and I finally decided to do the bold thing and chop it all off, and they couldn't take my word for it that I wanted it off my shoulders, and they kept leaving a little bit like long enough to hit my shoulders, and I'm like, it's just gonna flip out all funny and it's gonna grow out immediately. I wanted it shortcut to kind of match the alternate design from Rhinoa from Final Fantasy VIII, the design from Dion Rogers? I don't know if I'm remembering the right name, but there's like a cute, spunkier version of Rhinoa from that game that they made some concept art for. And yeah, I wanted it to look like that, and they wouldn't do it. So that was the day that I resolved to just do my own damn hair. And that's what I've done since then. I think I might have had my hair cut short, like shaved in the back, just kind of a touch-up of the same thing that I've got going on here once at a barbershop, but they never get the bangs right. So, yep, that's all my hair conniptions. Oh, though I will say, I highly recommend for anyone who likes having dyed hair, it's so much cheaper to do it yourself, and you can just get the tubes of direct dye from Amazon or wherever. Let me try to remember the names of some of the brands I've used. Pravana, I think, and Arctic Fox. I've used the Arctic Fox pink before. Basically, I just go in and I look at reviews and I try to see specific colors reviews because it's really easy for one brand to be good at one color and terrible at another. So, yeah, Tree says that they're glad to have supportive family about their gender, and yes, it's very, very nice. I'm glad at this point in my life, finally, my mom has been having a lot of different experiences too, and she's very, more open to things. It's been interesting growing at the same time from maybe kind of related reasons, but different paths, that have led us to branch out and experience different things. It's cool to be kind of dynamic about your understanding of the world. It's a little wild because like if your identity is really tied up in something, like that's something kind of struggling with right now because my identity has been tied up in being an artist and drawing all the time for so long, but because of trying to find that balance with my health. Don't drink the paint water, honey. This is Ragnar. This is my good son. I have a naughty son too, but this is my good son. Hi, honey. Hi. Hi. Yes. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Okay, I'll let you go. And Molly was sleeping back behind over there, but I think... Oh, there she... She's in the cat tower right now. Speak of the other son. I don't know if you were able to see in the background, but they just chased each other. Goblin, hi. Alright, I'm gonna stop getting distracted with my cats. Yeah, dyeing hair for Pride is awesome. I mean, obviously the colors always kind of representing by Pride. I mean, it's gone through several shifts, and I don't want to exclusively be tied to these colors, but they really feel like me, so I've been, you know, I like rocking this shade. I keep forgetting that my microphone's actually over here, and I keep talking at the computer. I hope that the volume is doing okay, and that I'm not, like, rubbing up against the mic. What color do I want for that? It's just bothering me leaving that open. Let's do a light purple. Do I not have a light purple? Kind of dark purple. Kind of looking forward to just like covering this entire canvas with stuff, and then like even to the point of going back over the first layer, because usually when I paint on canvas I like to do like a base layer so that the texture of the canvas doesn't peek through, because that's, I don't know, that's something that I was told you're supposed to do in school. They really liked texture at Austin P at the time that I went there. I don't know. They also really, really hated anime style, and they probably would still think that my style is anime style, even though I feel like it's quite different, but, you know, whatever. I enjoyed about, the thing I enjoyed about college was just basically access to a studio where I could experiment with things I would have never done before because of, you know, like, I mean, I don't have an acid bath that I can do copper linoleum. What are they called? It was a printing thing where we had a little copper sheet and we painted a little layer of tar over it, and then I don't know if tar is the right term. I'm just trying to vaguely remember a bunch of stuff here. My memory's not super duper, especially when I don't have ADD meds. So that was really neat, having stuff like that where it was like literally a copper plate, and then we put some sort of coating on top of it, and then you'd etch away the things that you wanted to be lines that would not get the ink on them in your print. So you have to like kind of invert the way that you're thinking, because it's going to be the reverse of whatever you're drawing. I don't have an example of what it ended up looking like. I did like a crazy looking bug lady for that one. It'd be nice if I could just pull up images in my mind and share them. I suppose that's what, you know, video editing is for. But I have no experience with that whatsoever, so I'll just wait until I gain telepathic abilities. Oh, hey, Scott. My brother just joined the stream. I hope you're not too tired. Thanks for swinging by. You like the Totoro with the hat? Yeah, I actually had a cute little Totoro like shrine basically behind there, but I ended up having to disassemble it and slide it to the side because of trying to find a place where I could reach all the cords I needed to and also have the canvas in view. Kind of getting hungry already. I'm such a munchy person. Hopefully I won't crunch in your ears if I get some Girl Scout cookies. Alright. Well, it's something. I'm not crazy about that shade of orange, but I gotta let it dry before I can touch that anymore. I have no idea what the delay situation is like here either. It looks like a lot of delay to me when I see the video because, like, I'm not moving my hands on the canvas right now and haven't been for a while, but I still am there, so it's a little wild. Man, I feel like acrylic normally dries really fast, but this doesn't seem like it's drying very fast. I'm so naughty about not using like an actual palette to mix my paints with or anything. I always use just the brushes and dip straight out of the containers. I ain't got time for that. It's part of why I never make palettes for my digital art either. It's like too much effort to keep track of. I just like to right click and copy whatever is nearby or switch to a completely other color for contrast. The only real consistency I feel like in my art is that I like never use straight dark black because I don't know, it just seems too harsh. I like a really dark blue or dark purple. And then sometimes usually I go in Photoshop and tweak the values for a while and try to make it more contrasted, because something about how my eyeballs work, it tends to like focus in on the little tiny contrast and think that it's a lot bigger contrast while I'm working, so everything ends up looking really delicate and washed out if I'm not specifically trying to avoid that. Of course, for anyone watching this stream who is not familiar with my art, all this is not going to really make sense in relation to what I'm painting, because this is, entirely different medium and no particular tactics. Love this. It's iridescent base and glaze, so it's real sparkly. Probably doesn't show up super well on camera, but It was funny when I was trying to set up my camera and everything. I thought it looked a little bit blurry, and I realized I'd never taken the little plastic coating off the front of the lens. I've used it only a couple times, mostly to play Dungeons and Dragons with friends at a distance. And yeah, never noticed that there was a little protective plastic coating there. Yeah. It's funny, my tendency to not use like very much black in my art is also reflected in my how much ink my printer runs through of specific colors. Like I had to get a mega size thing of photo magenta, since most of my art is mostly purple. And it's easier to make purple with like less amounts of blue as opposed to the red, so it ran through the magenta really, really fast. Though I did just recently have to order a larger thing of my photo cyan as well, or the light cyan. My Canon Pixma Pro 100 printer has, 8 different kinds of inks. Yes, I think it's got gray, light gray, black, magenta, photo or light magenta, light cyan / photo cyan, and then cyan. Nope, I'm missing one. Yellow. I haven't had to replace my yellow very much. Green is such a tricky color to get the printer to do right, because it always looks so much lighter on the computer screen than it does on the print. And I know that there's things I probably should have learned when I was in school, or I could learn them now theoretically too, about matching your printer profiles to the screen to try to make it as close as possible, but I don't know. That sounds like work. Instead, I just sit there and I tweak it till it looks good to my eyeballs, because, yeah. Somehow, troubleshooting something like 18 times seems like less work than trying to learn the rules of how to do it right the first time. Kind of belligerent about that. I like to just troubleshoot it and make little tweaks until I like it. Maybe one day I'll change my ways. We'll see. I don't know. I always feel that way about using Paint Tool SCI instead of Photoshop too. I feel like drawing in Photoshop is the proper artist thing to do. And I don't know. Not for me. I like the kind of just messy, letting you figure it out feeling that comes with Paint Tool SCI. I'm realizing I probably should have done more painting on that side, because this is the side that my hand is going to want to brush up against. Oh well. I guess I could always flip it. Yeah, let's flip it. That'll be fun. This easel was rescued from the trash by my boyfriend. Because he does sanitation. And, yeah. We get little treasures sometimes. These are the best. Let's do some more blue up in here. Color blue. This used to be like one of my favorite colors when I was in my teens. Still on the range of colors that I tend to use, but obviously I've shifted more towards liking purple and pink, which is weird because I thought that I would not want to like purple and pink for a while there because felt too stereotypically feminine when I was trying to, you know, decide, well, figure out, I don't know how to put it. It felt too feminine for me. It felt unnatural for a while, but now I feel a little bit more confident just kind of rocking whatever. And I like how purple and pink look now. So, it's interesting. Red was my first favorite color, though. I don't know why. It's definitely not my favorite these days. It's been maybe one day I'll get back around to liking it, but I used to when I was little. I would do red everything. I liked Poison Ivy because she had bright red hair, and I liked drawing mermaids. I guess like Ariel, but not really because they had red tails as well, not green tails. They had red tails. Never liked the combination of red and green because it always makes me think of Christmas. And I don't like Christmas because it's too much family pressure. I like Halloween because it's the anti-holiday pretty much. My brother says he's trying to think of a test to determine the time delay. It's okay. I can just, you know, we'll just have to exist outside of time a little bit. And that's how I'm used to living my life anyway, so just kind of is on theme for me, personally. It's not too loud when I paint on the canvas, is it? Like, I don't know if this is too close. Wow, this is a very high pigment blue. I like this brand. It was like, it's called Nova Color. And when I was trying to research what acrylic paints were a good combination of decent pigment weight and budget, because I don't particularly, you know, have a justification for buying really expensive acrylic paints when I'm not even really doing those for commission works or to sell or anything. It's more just to enjoy it at this point in life, because it's so much easier to make work digitally. I mean, it's still a lot of work, but like, it's impossible to make good work. And like, I'm so used to being able to rearrange my compositions digitally and be able to reproduce it, and all those things that makes it, I guess, just it's so much more convenient. And adjusting the colors, because like I said, I'm often, when I'm trying to do representational work, I'm often way too light-handed with the contrast. Trying to decide whether or not to vent about all the things with the current situation. I don't know. I'm mostly just proud of our Kroger. Well, not Kroger, but it's essentially that. It's pick and save, but it's essentially a Kroger. Because they implemented some buying restrictions to keep them from running out of stock of things. And so last time I went grocery shopping, we actually had bread and eggs, and the milk never ran out here, thank goodness. I mean, I guess maybe it has to do with living in Wisconsin, being Dairyland Central. Cheese, we had tortillas even when we ran out of bread. It's kind of funny. It's like you get a sense for what people are used to eating and expecting to, have for their quick meals. But I've, part of my privilege, like forced privilege of not being able to work a normal job, is that I've been able to invest all my time into learning how to manage groceries and cook different things, and it's basically like a mega hobby, just cooking all the time because I love to eat and I love eating new things. So yeah, even when we were running out of things, I wasn't too worried because the produce section was still good, and I learned how to make bread for the first time. That's not something I had done before because just the ease of grabbing a loaf is, obviously easier. But I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did, and I was really pleased with how it came out. Like, it's probably one of the top things. Like, I'm probably more proud of how my bread turned out than any of my works of art. So, well, maybe a few of my drawings I'm proud of, but it's more exciting when you make something that felt like you didn't put as many skill points into that and it still turned out okay. It's like, I rolled all the dice and it worked. So I keep celebrating my bread victory. Yeah. But yeah, I'm proud of our Kroger. They've been good about trying to restock things and keep limits on things. Toilet paper situation's still a little nebulous, but luckily, we've got some still. We'll see how long that'll last. Went ahead and ordered a bidet, just in case. Also, just because sounds fresh. And it's more what's green? That's the word I'm thinking of. It's more green, I think. Oh God, that's a very full blue. Ooh boy, don't spill. But the other thing that I really appreciated that they were doing was wiping down the self-checkout between every customer. I'm like, you're on it. And I mean, I was the only one who went wearing a mask. It wasn't a medical grade mask, it was just my cute little one I got in Japan. But I just felt like, because I unconsciously touch my face a lot, it's kind of a autism, ADD thing, I don't know. It's very grounding to me, so I wanted to make sure I didn't touch my face while I was at the store. I'm fine to touch my face right now. I'm quarantined at home. My hands have been super washed. I don't know why I'm avoiding it. But just trying to recondition those brain pathways, I suppose. But, yeah. I felt a little bit conspicuous being the only one wearing a mask. I don't know how much to be afraid and how much to be chill. I keep saying that I'm not worried about it, but evidence to the contrary of, just kind of a lot of things that I know happen in my body when I'm anxious. Definitely. Oh, thank you, Scott, for saying that I have more skills than just my art. I I like to think so because I'm not sure, art seems to be one of those things that whether or not I can do it at all, it depends on the brain. But I guess that's everything. But especially with that, the whole focus and being able to sit down and be still for a prolonged period of time, it takes a lot more attention and like is more likely to aggravate my hip and shoulder and all that kind of thing and make me forget to breathe. Unlike cooking, whereas that like yeah, it's very therapeutic. Wow, that's a wild blue. It's weird. It's like so translucent. I think I remember that when I was shopping on this site for the paints. They actually had explanations for which paints were more opaque and which ones were more translucent. I bet you could do a lot of cool effects with that. Because then if I did like a thin little bit of this on top of the other one. Is there certain types of fabric? The mask I have is just from Japan. It's just a cute one. I don't know that it's anything medical in any way. But if I do need to go out and be protected, Zachary actually happened to find he had literally 2 of the grade of mask that are supposed to be good at preventing this. I can't remember what it is. N95 and 75, whatever. I can't remember. But he had a couple of them from woodworking stuff. Like, yeah, we didn't buy them specifically for this, but happened to have some, so it's cool. So if I need to make another grocery run in the days to come, probably will, because garlic's running low, and I really, really like garlic, but I'll try to mitigate. I don't know, it's like it's so slippery, it doesn't want to stick. I feel like it'd be better for mixing rather than painting. Or maybe I'm supposed to be using a different kind of brush. Or maybe I can just leave chunks of it like that. Eh. But yeah, in my case, wearing the mask was really more of a just to try to remember not to touch my face in public thing anyway, so. Anything is better than nothing in that regard. And plus, it has the bonus effect of helping the people around you remember to keep distant. Because you look like, oh, maybe they're sick. Oh, better stay distant from them. It's funny, we actually have a neighbor in this apartment complex who has been wearing masks intermittently whenever we'd see her since we moved in. And I thought, oh, that's convenient. That's already, just part of her thing. I don't know the story behind it, but, it's probably not convenient. It's probably inconvenient for whatever's going on. But it's a strange inverted feeling time where sometimes it's like something that was a weakness is a little bit of an advantage now. Like having spent the last 2 years since moving up here basically alone, so I kind of got over the hump as far as my feeling super isolated goes. Not like I've ever been particularly social, but it's quite the jump when you move somewhere that you literally know no one. Except for, of course, I have my partner. But, So yeah, there was definitely a hot minute here when we moved up that I felt rather just a little bit too eccentric. But I kind of found my coping mechanisms for that and adjusted. Really developed my relationships with my cats, which sounds maybe sad, but I don't know. I legitimately, they're interesting to me. And it's actually been really sweet watching how Ragnar especially has gotten a lot more like friendly, and because he's kind of an anxious cat and he had poop problems. So I learned how to read his anxiety signs and keep him more regular. It's like parenting shit, you know? But luckily, it never gets upgraded to more complex social issues, unlike if I actually had to deal with children. That's a whole other kind of wild. I like the simplicity of a cat friendship. I mean, it's not super simple, but it's at least... like, they don't lie. Cats don't lie. I don't know how to deal with lies. Especially because a lot of people don't realize when they're telling them. Because it's like, you know, subjective about which parts of reality you think are important to convey and whether or not you are aware of the implications of things. It's very tricky. Okay, I'm about done with this blue paint here. I'll keep a little bit more on the brush just in case, but I want to switch to like a green or something. She says, I know someone who does parking enforcement and has been using the pandemic to de-escalate situations. That's good. Yeah. De-escalation is always a good idea. And yeah, that's true. For anyone who's at least slightly concerned about it, it makes it easier to convince them that they should not get in fisticuffs with anybody. I forgot to get a towel for my paintbrushes again. Okay, I should probably take a break here in a second and go get a towel and go use the restroom. And stretch out my hip before it starts acting up. Ooh, oh, no, don't do that green. Not that green. No, no, no. You just put you away over there. Okay, I'm gonna make a quick trip to refresh myself and my paint water. Boop, 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 boop. Bear a beat. know what it is about cats. They always want to drink the paint water. Luckily, I just refilled it, so it doesn't have paint in it this time. Oh my god, don't. Oh god. Don't step on the things you might break it. I swear, it took like a whole 2 seconds when I tried to set up my laptop earlier before Molly was laying on it. It's not even warm on the keyboard either. Like, it's one of those laptops, it's technically a tablet. And so, like, all of the heat of it's actually in the vertical part. But yet, Cat sees a new thing on the ground and she's like, yes, I will lay on this. Will you sit on my lap? Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, have you come to bless me with your presence? I swear she's a Slytherin because she likes it when I make sounds. But for some reason... Oh, she's got to go check out the paintbrushes, that's why. There's just so much exciting stuff going on, huh? A lot of stuff that's not normally on the floor here, huh? Bean. Sweet Bean. Oh, she's so cute. The sassy one. It's so funny getting Oh wait, here, let me catch up on the text here. Some text is happening. Oh, you can hear the music. Oh, I hope that's not a problem with YouTube. Oh dear. It's not like I'm trying to monetize anything. But I just had it on literally to try to minimize the tinnitus from the whirring of this laptop, so... Maui in the background, so cute. Cough on your fist. It's poison damage. Okay, I should not try to read text so much. My eyes are not focusing super good. It's very tiny font. So, y'all can just talk to each other, but if you need a question directed at me, you can use, say easy or something. I might eat some almonds and consider my painting. Oh my god, Molly, don't be grumpy, girl. It's okay. She likes growling at the new cat, our little goblin. But she's harmless. And that's probably why she likes growling at him. She feels like she has to assert her dominance. I've taken up watching, The Lion Whisperer, I think is the name of the channel. Can't remember for sure. Can't remember a lot of things for sure. It's just like my base state. Anyway, Lion Whisperer, I think is what he's called on YouTube. And it's so cute because a lot of the things that he says are things that I was already saying to Ragnar, like my silly baby cat talk language that I would have for him. Like, did you make a good poo-poo? Did you poo-poo for me? Because, like I said, Ragnar is a bit of an anxious pooper. He gets constipated if you don't reassure him. And yes, I'm talking about poop while I'm eating. My stomach... See, I think my brain doesn't really connect to a lot of things. So it makes it very easy to not feel reactions to stuff when your brain doesn't connect to them. It's funny, in the past couple of years, trying to work on my health, I've actually started to feel things because it's like I actually live in my body a little bit. Not 100%. I'm still super psychopathic. And not psychopathic, not really. I'm just over-exaggerating. But there's a lot of things that should make me feel certain ways that don't. But there are fewer now, since I've started living in my body a little bit more, with like meditative breathing, focusing on eating and cooking and stuff. Whereas in the years that I've focused my attention exclusively on making art, writing poetry, not sharing poetry, because that's embarrassing. I haven't wrote poetry in a while. But anyway, in the years of really like focusing on digital life, like scrolling through Tumblr, drawing things, and like playing games, it's like my brain, I don't know. It's such a weird thing to try to express. But yeah, it's part of that whole like feeling like an alien in a human body thing, which has been kind of my theme song since I was like I don't know, 13 and started to become aware of existing as a human. Still feel like a bit of an alien, but I get it now a little bit about involuntary responses to things. Like, I used to scoff at Disney, like, just across the board. I thought it was really silly and overrated, and I still have criticisms with a lot of things in that, but, you know, I can't deny actually having tears in my eyes over a variety of things, from commercials to shit that I wouldn't think would get to me. Like, and cringing at more stuff because, like, I feel now like I can kind of imagine it. I've always cringed at tooth stuff because I hated losing teeth growing up. Yeah, disassociative is probably the word for it. I never know for sure whether that's the right word, because to me, dissociative always takes me back to a very specific memory, which was maybe the first time that I realized, like, with such intensity, what dissociation might be, but I don't even know if that's the right term for it, but it's the thing that jogs to my mind is, so, like, I mentioned that I, grew up in a religious way. I got married when I can't remember if it was like 20, 21, but, you know, because young folks want to have sex, and I was trying my best to make it work in the framework that I'd been taught to believe was good, and so I got married to someone who, was still struggling with a lot of stuff, and I didn't know how to handle my own shit, much less the stuff that they were struggling with. They were young, too. So when I was going to college, I had a therapist for a brief time. The college covered the cost of just, like, 6 therapist visits, which is kind of hilarious, because, like, who can deal with everything that they need to deal with in 6 visits? But I dealt with what I urgently needed to deal with at the time, which was just, like, saying out loud to someone all of the weird gaslighting, abusive, non-compatible shit that was going on, and, like, admitting out loud to myself that I didn't see a future there. Like, I felt like I was there. Yeah, like, that's a very delicate way of putting it, that I didn't see a future there. It was, like, super, super gut-wrenching weird shit, because he was dealing with some addiction issues, and I didn't know how to handle that at all. But yeah, I specifically remember one of the therapy sessions just feeling utterly out of my body, like I was behind myself, looking at myself through a window, like about 6 feet behind myself, at least, back behind the couch. Like, I can see myself still there. Like, if I think about that memory, I have to struggle to remember it from the perspective that I was actually in, because I felt like I was watching from back there and watching these words fall out of my mouth and feeling, you know, the pit go, my stomach drop out, and just, like, cold and weird and gone. So that's what dissociative... No, don't step on the monitor! That's what dissociative kind of means to me. I know that's not the only way of using it, but it left such a, like, vibrant and intense memory of that in my mind that, like, by comparison, the slight disconnect between, like, there's a delay or just, like, a missed connection in terms of how my emotions relate to or don't relate to the things around me. Like, that just feels more like, I've always wanted to make this example of a walkie-talkie, how I think that the human brain is kind of like a walkie-talkie, and it can be tuned to a bunch of different channels, and it's just like the channels that my brain has been tuned to for most of my life and still is mostly tuned to are just, they're in tune with other shit. Like, they're in tune with weird color fluctuations and physical sensations and tones in people's voices, just a lot of sensory things that I have trouble even imagining. Well, that's another thing too, is I have a lot of trouble with abstract visualization. It's probably part of why I've focused on drawing for so much of my life, is because my mind doesn't like to actually let me see things. Like if I try to close my eyes and imagine an apple, I can't. So I feel like the same thing happens to me on an emotional level, where it is like grasping in the dark for any kind of understanding of what is the social implications of something, or what would be like what someone else feels in that situation. Like, there's some things I'll get, and then some things I won't understand what the connection is at all. And it's really weird. Part of this might be from being homeschooled and not being around a lot of people growing up. Part of it might be just who I am. I always kind of want to tie some of it to when I was born. I was being strangled by my umbilical cord. So I don't know if there's any science to that at all, but it's a nice, like, visual thing for me to cling to, where it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. If my first breaths in this world were kind of delayed and my brain didn't quite connect in the same way. Which, I mean, is one of those things that's really hard to, like, say how you feel about it, because, like, it's so tied into who you see yourself as, that is like, if I would be any other way, I wouldn't recognize myself, so I wouldn't be me. So, yeah. There's some Aurora playing on the TV right now. I don't know if it's hearable, but I fucking love Aurora. It's funny, just like I was saying about how I have become more connected with my body than I used to be. Music is an entirely different thing to me now than it used to be. I mean, I still wouldn't say that I'm 100% feeling it the way that some people can, but specifically with Aurora, I liked her music a little bit at first, and I liked her aesthetic and everything, but specifically, I don't know, like, it just felt too soft and too airy where it wouldn't click, which is still how I feel about most of Grimes' music. It just doesn't click. But with Aurora, especially, I took the time to actually watch some music videos, and it really just, music video. I love music videos now because it gives visuals to help with the musical understanding. So it's like I'm trying to learn how to speak a language that I've never known before. Do you want more of this color? Yeah, I'll do a little bit. Tree says alexithymia. Is that the meaning of... Is that for not being able to envision things? Because I remember there was some word that I had learned for that too. Not apophenia. Not... I think aphantasia, maybe? Was the word that I had heard for that. But I don't know if you're referencing something else now. Because I'm rambling. A lot of different things. I liked, there was a specific post that I saw discussing what I think is called aphantasia, but I'm not 100% sure, saying if you close your eyes and try to call up the image of anything familiar, let's say an apple, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you feel like you're seeing it? Where 10 is like you close your eyes and you just see it exactly. Alright, if I try to call up the image of an apple right now, I see... swirling color noise. It's pretty pretty solid 0 at the moment. I've gotten up to like a 2 or 3 before sometimes, but it'll always be in flashes. I have very constant color noise with my vision, which if I am in a dark way, I start worrying about whether or not, like, maybe I'll go blind or something, but I don't know. Maybe there's something neurological there, just like there is for my tinnitus, where, you know, but thankfully, trying to overcome the panic that came with having constant ringing in my ears for 8 years, I kind of learned to, I mean, not 100%, but a lot, just let go of that kind of stupid fucking worry, because, you know, it's better to just figure it out as you go rather than try to plan for fucking who knows what and manifest it by accident while you're worrying about it. At least anytime you can avoid it. I have not yet mastered the art of avoiding nausea before anything. Especially, you know, going to a new place or hanging out with people you don't know. That's on my to-do list, I guess, for things to figure out how to do. Though I think I can do it pretty well on medications. If I can get to the point where I have medications again, that'd be cool. Makes it like, instead of stabbing in the dark, makes it like actually like you have somewhere to stand while you try to figure stuff out, which is nice. Not 100% solution, but it's a good little start. It's like the difference between, I always want to make the glasses analogy, but that doesn't mean anything to people who have normal vision, so I don't know. Oh, having a hard time identifying with emotions is alexithymia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But yeah. That's cool. I've never heard of alexithymia before. Hopefully I'm saying that okay. I always kind of just associated it with being on the autism spectrum, though, to be fair, I've never formally been diagnosed, but it's like one of those things where it's like, kind of tell about yourself and your experiences of things. And of course, the whole ADD and autism thing, it kind of runs together in an interesting way. I don't know. I'm always hesitant to claim labels because, you know, it's hard to know whether or not they're supposed to fit you, but it's almost like each person is a very complicated thing unto themselves, and I mean, I'm super glad that we have some words to define things, but it does make it very tricky for someone with like some kind of perfectionist tendencies in their understanding in their brain to like feel like when do you call it, you know? And I've not had good luck with getting therapists and doctors that listen to me at all. Like, I appreciate the therapist that kind of helped. Well, okay, to be fair, the therapist that I spoke to in order to get through the divorce things, or realize that I needed to get a divorce from my first marriage. Anyway, that therapist basically was the kind that literally had a notebook and said, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? So, not super great, not really getting in depth, but it was enough, like, I had so much built up in me that had to get out that it was enough just to have someone who wasn't my family. Because I was very isolated at that time. And it was enough just to have someone like that to talk to. And then the next experience with the therapist that I had was someone who I really didn't remember my name. Because it was in Tennessee, I was trying to get some assistance, government assisted. I'm not remembering words for things right now. But yeah, it was supposed to be something for low-income people because I haven't been able to be keeping a regular income because of all my issues. And I was trying to sort that out. Really just trying to see if I could get the ADD medications that I needed to help myself manage. But she couldn't do that for me. She was just a therapist, not a psychiatrist. And she didn't even remember my name. She kept calling me Ashley. And that's not even close. And yeah, it was funny. A lot of the appointments would end in her just telling me stories about her own life. So that was fun. Super fun. I don't remember how I got on this topic. Oh, because of never having been officially diagnosed as anything, because I've never had a good therapist, actually. So thank you for, like Tree says, that self-diagnosis is valid, and I hesitantly agree. I don't know what the PC thing is. Like, it's so, I don't know. I'm always torn how to handle science stuff, and I go more with my gut more than science, because, you know, my gut is personal, but I also don't like to completely disregard the science. It's just that the science seems to take a long time to catch up to the thing that you're like, yes, I've been telling you that. This is exactly what I've been telling you. Yeah, I mean, the therapist I was talking about, I'm sure, you know, it's not a well-funded thing. I think the network that she was part of, and I don't know, it's hard to find a therapist that's a good match for you, even when they are professional and good, from everything that I've heard. Yeah. I always want to, like, be hesitant to, like, be judgmental of a person inherently. Like, it's just that they're not a good match for the thing. We're so bad at being able to find people who get filtered to the careers that are actually good for their skill sets. It'd be nice if there was, like, save points in real life and people could try out career paths and, you know, redo stuff. Maybe that is what life's like. Who knows? I'm for that. I really hope it is kind of a simulation kind of thing, and it's just like a game where as soon as you die or unplug or whatever, it's just going to be like, oh, hey, here I am again, and now I respawn. Because, I don't know, if it is just a one and done kind of thing, that's just, oof. It doesn't seem, instinctually, it doesn't seem accurate that it would be a one and done thing. Instinctually, I feel like everything kind of exists on a continuum, and I'm going to sound really wacky here, but I think that, okay, like, maybe I'll go back to the analogy I remember writing about when I was a teenager, and I don't know if I heard it from somewhere else. I've certainly heard it since then in other places, but anyway, the idea that humans are not exactly individuals as much as they are like windows, and then there's like clouds that you're seeing through the windows, and those clouds are the actual creatures. I don't know that that's the actual truth, but I think it's a kind of combination of that, where you're both yourself and you're also part of something else that's longer, older, bigger, and in a different dimension than you are. And I think that it's a little bit sad to be too afraid of death, because I think that constantly you're never quite the same person that you were before. Anytime you hear a new word or a new song that changes you, you're a little bit something else that you never were before. So I think that the idea of life, death, it's a little overblown for me personally. This might be part of the disconnecting to emotion things. Like, I absolutely get when you're having a chemical reaction that makes you fear for your safety and everything, and yeah, I think that who makes you who is actually something that has existed since before you were you in your own body and will continue to exist in the people around you that knew you and the people you didn't even know who happened to like feel the same things and know the same things. It's like, I don't know, I'm probably sounding wacky, but that's how I conceptualize reality. So it feels really hard for me to conceptualize reality any other way because of the way I dream and how much I dream and how vividly, and how easy it is to lose like personal identity randomly in the dream and suddenly be someone else, and it feels completely natural and fine, and it doesn't make me feel weird or sad, and like I wake up and sometimes I'll be confused about who I am here. So hello, Ragnar. Let me catch up on the chat here. There's a financial motive to hold back research on how autism works. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's very frustrating how much financial incentive determines what medical stuff happens. And like, it's a massive, massive picture of complications. I really wish there was a way to just like comprehensively fund the sciences without accidentally motivating people to report the data wrong or like push medications that shouldn't be applied. Helter Skelter, I don't know. Personally, about medications, I think that it should be a try it with supervision. If it works for you, we'll trust you to be a fucking adult and take the right amount thing. And I think that it really sucks the reputation that a lot of substances get, because brain chemistry is something we're only just barely understanding, and whether or not you associate certain things with good or bad is entirely subjective. So one person's addicting can be another person's off-putting and another person's regulating. And I don't know, like, yes, you can establish some consistencies over time. You can get like a sense of it, but it's so hard to control for all the variables that come with the human mind and their personal experience of it and what's going on with them then. I don't even think like a person consistently over time is the same makeup, so I don't know. Just my opinion, don't hate me if I'm offending anyone. I'm just, this has been my experience up till now, is that yeah. Kind of want to paint all the edges on this canvas, but that seems a little silly. I guess I should do anything that I'm feeling compelled to do, since this is automatic painting. So automatic painting will paint all the edges. Though, also, I'm cold, so I might put on my sweater first. Ugh. Did it finish playing all the music? No, don't do that. Okay, sweater. One of the things that I've been working on, instead of updating websites like I would like to, is just making this house feel more like home and not feel haunted. Because when we moved in, it felt a little bit haunted, just a little bit. I knew that the previous residents, she didn't die here, but she did die while they were living here. They had a daughter, and yeah, I feel like whatever level, that grief kind of lingered here, and it gave me some of the weirdest nightmares and weird feelings at night, and I saw the cats acting weird and everything. Like, I don't know, I'm not super. I usually like to trust, like, that anything that's kind of supernatural is ultimately either misunderstood or beneficial or whatever, because it's, I was raised with the opposite. I was raised with thinking that anything that wasn't the one true God was evil. So I've overcompensated for that with wanting to assume that all the other stuff should be good. Anyway, yeah, the apartment felt weird when we first moved in, and so I've been focusing on making it feel better, and it might just be like sensory stuff, partly, that I was sensitive to, because when we first moved in, there was just moving boxes everywhere. This room was like a dingy beige, and it was not great. But yeah, I've made it blue, and I've got some plushies up there. I'll go ahead and tilt a little bit so that way you can see, maybe. I don't know if this will work because I won't be able to see for a while, but there's plushies up there and some of the artwork on the wall. And I love this galaxy painting by, I think her name is Muddy Melly. Hopefully I'm remembering right. And yeah, just kind of filling it with fresh life rather than sadness. Like, I still kind of feel echoes of things in here, but it feels like they're not weird anymore. They're not hostile, I would say, but I'm afraid of even calling it that. If I was gonna be like supernatural woo-woo about it, it'd be easy to say, if there was a ghost, that it was really disconcerted by the fact that the people that they knew left. I don't know how that kind of stuff works at all. I don't know what to believe about it yet, and I just want to be, I'm not interested in trying to like banish anything. I just want to make it a nice place so they can, if there is a thing or a person or an echo, is that it can be a good chill place for them. Because, yeah, I know that if I was a ghost, I wouldn't want someone to be mean to me just because I was hanging around and confused. So, do unto others, right? You see a Cubase? Yes, I have a Cubase plushie and Charmander. That Charmander plushie up there actually went with me when I had my wisdom teeth removed, which I was not young when I had my wisdom teeth removed. I was 20, I think. I think I was 20. I don't want to spill that everywhere. But I want this blue. And it was real funny on the way back home from that wisdom teeth surgery, because I tried to play Pokemon on the drive home, but on the medications, I kept forgetting what I was doing. And I'd be like, how did I get here? In the cave, in the Pokemon cave? I don't understand what's happening. And that would happen like every 5 seconds. And yeah, it was pretty amusing, apparently. I almost forgot the Charmander plushie there, but the dental assistant luckily noticed and brought it back out to us in the car before we left. Did I hear a cat? Meow meow? Right here? Maybe not. He likes to carry his toys around in his mouth and go rawr, rawr, rawr. It's really cute. He likes to play fetch. He's such a dog cat. Both of our boy cats are kind of dog cats, actually. Tree says, don't trust it. And I assume, well wait, now I don't know if you're talking about Cubase or the ghost, because I told about, ghost impression stories. Cubase is a good example of what I mean by not being connected to the right emotions and feeling like an alien. Because to my mind, it's like, yeah, so if the magical girls, if they feed the universe, you give them energy. Like, that's just the cost of keeping the universe going. But I also absolutely fucking love Madoka, and she's perfect, and I would totally, yeah, I like her solution to it, and I love the time loop and how it makes her powerful because it's so rare for a story to explain why the main character is so powerful. But yeah, I like both sides of the story. That's why it's such a good story. I love stories that I like both the, both, all multiple of the characters, and I can see the angles from both sides. It's so exhausting. So many shows like to have it be good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy. And it's like, I don't think that's how the world works. I'm a moral relativist. So I think what made sense for some people is incomprehensible to other people. And that's part of why I like believing that things are not just one and done with the world, because the idea of if that's the only experience that somebody gets to have and then they happen to be struggling with morality either in the context of what they're experiencing or objectively, if that is a thing, I don't know. I really don't. It's reality weird. Reality super weird. Yeah. Trying to think, if I could make a deal with Cube, what would I ask for? I would just ask for flight. I fucking love flying. I'm an easy mark. Or infinite sushi. If you could give me infinite sushi, I would fight any battle. I'm not super motivated by self-preservation in some ways, so infinite sushi and flight. And then I'll be a magical girl. It is so wild how many flying dreams I've had, to the point where it is legitimately kind of off-putting to me when I wake up and I can't fly. And also, the whole flight thing started to be compounded by also being able to move things telekinetically, just as a rule in most of my dreams. Not all of them. Some of them will like be specific to some kind of storyline, whether or not it's related to my life or somebody else's that I don't know. But I've gotten really used to, when it is just me in the dream, I like assume that I can fly and I have telekinesis. Like, yeah. It's cool. Trying to think how to explain, because sometimes if I have a bad dream, like it's a nightmare or whatever, what makes it feel like a nightmare? Infinite sushi could be used as a weapon. You are correct. Especially if you let it go bad. It'd be fun to have my my magical outfit designed to reflect sushi somehow, and shoot it at people, or have a sushi sword. I could have like the swords that they use to cut up the big giant tunas. Apologies to anyone who is disrupted by the idea of animals being eaten. I've been on that side of things before, but my health is much better when I eat animal proteins, so that's just how life has to be for me. Like, it's wild how much different, like if I eat pork, even just a couple times, I can see like a notable like jump in how quickly my nails grow and how healthy my hair feels, like immediately. It's yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I'm definitely for, we need to treat our animals better and appreciate the things that they do give, because yeah, wastefulness of that life effort is really, really rude. But, yeah. If there is a way that I could be... Well, okay, so this is the honest truth about it, is I have a hard time even imagining vegetarianism as being better, because to me, I actually empathize with garlic sprouts. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like the same sort of reaction that some people get towards babies. Like, I love the baby plant that's trying to grow. It's real cute. And I'm real proud of them for trying. So, like, it's something that, what am I going to eat? Rocks? Like, I have to, it's just life. Life costs life. Ugh. So, probably not PC to say, but that's where I'm at right now in my life. Ooh. I've been really enjoying gardening lately, on the note of liking plants. And by gardening, I mean I have some it's awesome if vegetarianism works for you. To clarify, absolutely. That is really, really good, and it's less impact. Basically, I feel like the rule of thumb is the smaller the thing is that you can eat, the better. Like if we could eat bugs and mushrooms and plants, the impact would be smaller because it's like the net result of, what's it called? Thermodynamics, just like the inefficient use of energy. The bigger the thing is, so like eating beef feels pretty unfortunate because that takes a lot of energy. And I say this, of course, but we had a big thing of beef in the fridge. But usually it's ground beef, and I hope that they're using all the little odds and ends that don't need to go anywhere else. I don't know. But if it was up to me, I think that, yeah, animals as free range as possible, as humane as possible, and, you know, this just smaller is better. It's really weird to me how big of a thing beef is, especially how regularly people want to eat it in America. Like, not super duper great. Yeah. Even with the pork thing, like, the main thing, I like doing the broths, where you have the bones, and you actually get all that nasty, weird shit from boiling the cartilage and stuff. Because that's something that is a massive, like, that's one of the main things I think that my body has trouble with not having, is those little, roughage? No, that's not the right term. I don't know what the right term is, but it's like all the cartilage and the icky weird stuff that people are used to tossing out, and that's the really, really difficult stuff for the body to manufacture 100% on its own for some people, as far as I understand it. I don't know. I've heard some people say that you can adjust to it, but I think it kind of depends on your gut biome. I cannot wait for us to have a better understanding of gut biomes, because that seems where a lot of mental health stuff and physical stuff, health, you know, it seems to be focused in that region. And we've only just begun to understand. I think. I don't know. Maybe we're far along. I don't know. In any case, I like fermenting stuff too. I like fermenting my own sauerkraut and kimchi and radish kimchi. I do cabbage kimchi and radish kimchi. And what other things do you ferment? I've not started fermenting my own like soybeans yet, but I'd like to learn how to. Lab grown meat is totally cool with me. I'm all for that. I'm like lab grown cartilage. I'm down. Though there is a part of me. Oh man, I talk about something creepy. This was one of the things that creeped me out the most of anything that I've ever heard. I think is they made I don't know if I even want to talk about it. They made a robot out of frog cells using, I think it was skin and heart cells, and just like I had this moment of like gut-wrenching empathy to the, like, if that thing could be aware of itself. It's like literally the most Frankenstein, like confused organism ever. There's no precedent for that in anything. Like, I get that life is brutal and does things, you know, in all of evolution, things have been eating each other and, you know, evolving, spreading each other diseases and everything. But I don't think ever in evolution someone, you know, some creatures managed to just disconnect their heart and skin cells and make them connected and make that be manipulated to move in a certain way. It's the creepiest thing. I hope, God, I don't know if consciousness works that way. I'm so sorry for whatever might have experienced that, because that's fucking rough. But I mean, jellyfish exist, right? So maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. I just had, you know, a very gut reaction to reading about that, even though technically the science behind it is fascinating, and technically I have no reason to believe that something with no brain matter could be conscious and aware of itself or whatever, but I don't know. I think DNA is intelligence. I think that's what it is. I think that consciousness moves through the brain and the brain really fine-tunes it, but I don't think that's where it starts and ends. I'm talking a bunch of wild shit. Yeah, this is just Tuesday for me. I like the shimmer on this blue. It's nice. I don't know if it shows up on the camera at all, but it looks nice and shimmery right there. Oh, it's a very blue canvas right now, huh? Maybe it's because the walls are blue also. I think even, like, you're probably right that it wasn't in pain or anything, but that's part of, like, my weird, I guess it might just tie to the fact that I'm still trying to learn how to have feelings like a human or whatever, but I kind of, like, unassume to the point where, I don't know, it's like Pocahontas. Every rock, every spirit, or every tree has a spirit, has a way. Because that, like, to my mind, it's really, like, arbitrary to try to make distinctions. So even the idea of pain, like, I think it, like, it's part of our language that we've learned to communicate. Pain is a language that any kind of, you know, vertebrate, basically, has learned how to speak and kind of empathize with to some extent. But, like, it's not hard for me to imagine that there's so many other ways of feeling reality, in the same way that, you know, mantis shrimps and bees can see different wavelengths than we can, and those would, you know, be experienced very differently. So the priorities of what would be important to another creature, whether or not it's in pain, or whether or not it knows what to do, you know, or whether or not it feels a certain connection to what it's thinking in its DNA that it should be connected to, like, that could be more important to it, in the same way that, you know, pain in a human context even is not one and done. Like, pain can be cathartic. You can have it in healthy situations where it's, like, actually a release to be focused by the pain. So I think that even trying to understand morality through a lens of pain is kind of difficult and limited. And I mean, not like I have any answers, because if you take that away as a frame of reference for how to be empathetic, then you're not left with much. You might be left with, like, respecting how other things communicate that they want to be treated, but that's an entirely other thing to try to figure out. Swear. I'm getting pond vibes from the artwork. Yeah, it is. It's like lily pads and water. And there's a little bit of water there too, like little waves. And a little tadpole. I don't know whether I'm going to keep any of it. Hey, I'm going to take a picture. Well, I guess it's streaming, but I'll take a picture anyway. Because this is what I do when I'm using my computer to draw. I take a million screenshots and then make a progress GIF. I should probably take another standing break here too, because I can feel it in my hips. Oh man, it looks better in person than on the camera. Ugh, that green looks real muddy on the camera. Oh well. It's about the process, not the end result today, so. Stop screenshotting yourself, phone. Okie dokie. Alright. Pain is a kind of communication. I agree. I mean that's where I'm at right now anyway. It's a kind of signaling. It's interesting. I'll say one more thing before I take a stand-up break to go stretch my legs, is that part of my learning how to be better friends with my cats is realizing that they like you to play rough a little bit sometimes. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things that, it's why people always get criticized on YouTube for animal cruelty. I mean, there is animal cruelty for sure, but when you learn how to talk with your specific animals, you know how to let to play, and you learn the languages really better. And I used to, when I was growing up, I used to want to like baby the cats and never upset them, do everything to let them outside if they wanted to, and be nice. And well, okay, I didn't let them outside, parents did, but I wanted to do everything else to make the cats be chill. And I realized that letting them 100% have their way is not the best way to like foster a relationship with them and make them like be interested in their environment and stay active and everything. So you kind of like have a little bit of ebb and flow. It's like the same way they play with each other. Like sometimes they chase, sometimes they swipe a little bit and bite a little bit, and then it's like it keeps everybody on edge a little bit, but then they're really happy too to have had that like bonding moment with you. So like, not, I don't know. It kind of ties into the pain thing, but hopefully I'm not inflicting any pain on my cats. They certainly inflict a little bit on me though sometimes. But just a nice little playful spooking. Ragnar likes it when I chase him back and forth, and he'll chase me and I go hide in the room. We play hide and seek. It's fun. If you think about it, most games are kind of a suspension of disbelief about a little bit of tension involving safety. So, I don't know where I'm going with this. I should take a standing break. Burr. And I'll get some fresh water again. Oh, my hips, my hips, my hips. and I brought myself a birthday muffin cake thing. It's my birthday in like a week. Oh. Humans are just weird, hairless monkeys with anxiety. That's accurate. It's true. I had this philosophical realization about what anxiety is while thinking about Harry Potter houses and how Gryffindors just jump and they just go rather than being anxious. It's like anxiety is trying to measure the results rather than just jumping and going for it. It's like it's the lack of action. It's keeping the energy from the action inside instead of putting it out. I don't know if that's profound at all. It felt profound when I first thought it, but now that I say it out loud, it seems pretty obvious. Anyway, I have a birthday cake muffin. I'm almost 31, and I'm doing this. Not quite birthday yet. My birthday is, here's a secret, it's on March 29th. Which is not April 1st, and I have it as the most low-key April Fool's joke ever, that I have my birthday slightly wrong on Facebook. Just a little bit. And I always explain it as, I wish that I was born on April 1st, because then my life could be a joke. And also, I feel like that's, further, what's the word? Confirmed by the fact that my mom gave birth to me right after she had a dream she couldn't do a handstand or a cartwheel, I can't remember. But whatever one it was, she tried to do it and she did. But then, on that same day, she started going into labor. And then I was born with my umbilical cord around my leg. So I'm sure that's not how things actually work, but it makes for a funny story in my brain. The idea that I was supposed to be born on April 1st, and instead I came out early and tangled up because of a handstand. I think it's a fun story. I don't know if any of that's works like that, but, you know, whatever. Stories are more fun than reality anyway. Anxiety is uncollapsed probability, or it's sitting on the, well, maybe that's what you mean. Like, because especially if you think of reality as like a multi-dimensional kind of thing, you could think that your idea of what reality could be is you sitting on the, like on the corner of where a lot of realities diverge. I remember having this thought very vividly during a certain kind of experience once, that everything was like hexagons and that reality split off in different directions at the corner of every hexagon into another hexagon. Does that make sense? But yeah, if you stay in one place, then you learn who you are more because you keep all that energy in a specific point. Whereas if you just keep moving, then you're not self-aware, but you're also not anxious. So it's like when you make anxiety happen, it's like you're building a universe to yourself. You're like you're really finding your point on that canvas, but whether or not it's useful to know exactly where that point is on the canvas, I don't know. Is it useful to know who you are, or is it better to just move and be happy? There's both sorts in the world. And different people are the same, or both things. Like, I'm probably super unanxious about a lot of stuff that other people are super anxious about. Like, I know for a fact that's the case with a lot of appearance stuff. Like, I don't even think, like, I think about it some, but not to the degree that people are really honed in to that. Like, it's like anxiety is taught or something. It's kind of goes along with language, and it's kind of a byproduct of empathy, which makes it sound like, oof, I don't know. The implications are broad. I think what makes me most optimistic about most things in life is just, well, one, basic decency of most humans. Like when interacting with them, most animals really, like interacting with people or animals on a one-to-one basis, you usually do okay. Not super great. A lot of times there's misunderstandings, but I mean, we're not constantly going for each other's throats, and that's something. And that in combination with just like the many different ways that, like, I keep mentioning dreams as being a very influential thing in my worldview, and that's like, it's a lot easier. Like, dreams are basically my religion, I suppose, because it's a lot easier to have faith that everything will be okay when I've got this, like, easy, well, not super easy, but it's a consistent, repetitive, and always fresh, like, what's the word? Not a cathedral. Sanctuary? Still not the right word. This other place that makes me feel like it's very easy to switch how you feel about something and to experience something, to try it on, to be something else, to be... I had this one really vivid dream once where I was the commander, like a captain. It was kind of like the role that Hal played in, if you're familiar with Firefly. Not Hal, Mal. I have trouble with my A's. Anyway, the captain from Firefly. It felt a little bit like that, where I was like the captain of a ship, and I like knew all my crew really, really well, and like I had these intense emotional bonds with them that when I woke up, I was like worried. I was like, crap, now I left, and the crew is trying to figure stuff out. And it was even another layer to that where I didn't 100% think that I only was that captain, but that I had become part of that captain's mind. Like, they were actually struggling to get by before, and there was a lot of, like, underhanded stuff going on, and the captain wasn't really relating that well. But then when I jumped into the captain's mind, like, I started to be able to empathize, and we had, like, a living ship, like Moira from Farscape. And I had to, like, wrestle with the ship and, like, tell it, like, now you gotta behave, and we're all trying our best here. You can't just abandon us on this planet, because that won't be good for you and it won't be good for us. We gotta work together and get through this. And I just felt so confident. Another character I want to tie it to is the cat from the captain from Treasure Planet. She was super cool, super confident, and she knew her crew, And it, like, felt like that. And it's really encouraging to have those kinds of experiences just, like, pop in and out of my life. And it makes it so much easier to kind of, I mean, obviously still get anxious about real, I like to say waking life things, because honestly, I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So waking life is better than real in my vocabulary. But yeah, it makes it a little bit gives you a place to step away from the anxieties of the waking life as it is, which, I mean, privilege, but I can't help anyone by being more of an anxious ball about every single thing, so just working on the things that I can. It's the one thing that I really struggle with a lot of the debates about morality and stuff, is like, so often the conversation gets to be about so much other than how to solve it, because, like, it sucks to go around throwing blame. Everyone's a fucking broken person. It's not an excuse. By all means, we gotta change broken behaviors. But if we don't have a solution, if we don't have something we can work towards where it would help people, like, being really angry is just being angry to be angry. Which, I mean, if that's what you're doing, I'm not even critical of that independently. It's just like I always feel like I switch into Spock mode when talking about stuff. It's like, yes, someone did a terrible thing to another person, and that's awful. But you know, what do you want? Like, let's keep them away from the people that they're hurting. Let's work on figuring out why they were hurting other people, because are they not understanding the nature of reality? What's going on here? Like, I don't know. Might be another overcompensation for being raised with too much black and white morality and religion, but I don't really believe in people being objectively bad. Only not being healthy or contextually. It's rough, and I don't know. I just don't get much out of perseverating on defining anybody else, basically. I like the idea of solving the issue. Honestly, even if the issue is that they need to reboot and respawn as a human, that's okay too, but it's just like, it doesn't help me to be angry about who they were. And that's how I've had to deal with all of the people that hurt me in the past. Like, it's just like, yeah. Like, you don't have to let them keep hurting you, but you do have to solve the problem and not hold the problem inside yourself any more than you have to. Because it will give you ulcers and anxiety and, yeah. Which I'd probably punch myself in the face for telling me that I need to forgive and forget in the past, but, you know, just kind of work with what you're at. There's different stages. I don't think anyone needs to rush through any stage in their life. And everybody's paths are very different. So, it's just where I'm at right now.
Things are only a problem to someone if someone thinks they're a problem. Yes, that goes with...
That kind of ties back into the whole idea of anxiety being like a way of assessing the world instead of moving through it. Because, yeah, it's like, if a tree falls down in the forest, it doesn't make any noise. That kind of conundrum. Which, that analogy used to bother me so much, because in my mind, noise and sound waves were the same thing for quite a while, and now I kind of get it a little bit better. It's like, oh yeah, noise is the receiving of the sound waves. If it's just sound waves, do we define it as noise or not? I don't know. It's kind of one of those language tricks, whether or not it means this or that. Language is a tricky little beast. You need to remember to breathe. It's so funny how, like, if I'm moving around in the house at night and I know, you know, somebody else is trying to sleep in the house, I'll try to be really quiet to the point where I'm also holding my breath. And it's so funny because it's not like they're going to hear my breathing. And yet, it feels like in order to focus enough on whether or not I'm making any sounds, I have to hold my breath in order to pay enough attention to that. And then it gets to be problematic, especially if I'm like just sitting in the same room and trying to draw. And then I sit there compulsively holding my breath because I don't want my keyboard clicks to be too loud. Definitely making this look like a lot of waves now, just rolling in the paintbrush. I feel like I should do more line art somewhere, because it's very ungrounded right now.
Is my other mic off? Oh, suddenly echo. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Yeah, echo. Let me see if I can. If I turn off my speaker, maybe it'll do that. So I don't know. It's not been playing any sound as far as I've heard it, but let me know if that fixes the echo. It's so funny if it randomly started doing echo, because I didn't change anything. Also name a color. Any color. So I want to switch it up a little bit. If it keeps doing echoes, I can try to, I don't know, turn everything off and back on again. That's how I usually solve a computer. Okay. Testing, testing. Any sound. Do we have echo again? If we have echo again. I'm very new to this. No echo or no sound? Is there still no sound? Because it seems like maybe there's no sound still. Yay! Hey, look at such good tech support. Just turn it off and back on again. Woohoo! Awesome. Thank you for letting me know that there was an echo, because I've not been able to hear the sound from my laptop this whole time. I don't even know why. Like, I should have tested to see if it would even play music or something. Might be something up with the laptop. It's been a long time since I've used it, because I have a much quieter desktop that I usually use, but it's not really location convenient for setting up to paint. I mean, I probably could set it up to paint, but I didn't want to do it because boyfriend was sleeping in that room, so it was easier to come in here and set up. Oh man, I'm starting to get attached to it where I don't want to paint over things, but I should paint over things, because that's, I guess, there's no rules, but I really did want to layer it up, and I'm just getting anxiety about it now. It's so funny getting attached to something like this, because like literally I took a picture already and I'm live streaming and there's a video recording of it, and can you imagine like living in a time where you didn't get any kind of way of remembering the past? And now we have so many ways of remembering it. Which is part of why life gets so complicated, because can't all just, you know, go with the flow and remember things as we need to. We're all like being like Pokemon collectors about memories. Oh no, this brush is too stiff. Aw. Well, okay. This is the brush I'm using. So I'm playing Chubby Bunny with my mouth full of cake up here. Oh, man, I hate how it's too stiff. I don't like stiff brush. The only time I used stiff brush was for oil painting. And oil painting was very distressing because it took so long to dry. And so I could sit there and keep reworking it, and yet even after I reworked it a whole bunch, it would not be very good. And I also just was a little bit anxious the whole time in oil painting class because like we were warned about how toxic the pigments were. And I totally accidentally dripped my brush in my coffee several times, and it made me wonder, when have I dipped my brush in my coffee and not noticed and drank the oil pigments? I don't know. What is the value of memory? I mean, mostly ego, right? Communication. I mean, not necessarily ego in like, I don't mean a selfish sense of ego, but ego is also part of how you identify yourself as part of a community and your ability to communicate with them. So it's like ego and empathy are not completely unrelated. They're all part of the same thing. But yeah, the value of memory is being prepared, maybe. But I don't know. It works on a lot of assumptions that I don't know. I mean, in an evolutionary sense, it's useful for your memory to work, so that way you know how to anticipate benefits and risks. So you can remember which plants are poisonous and which ones are good. But I don't know. I'm pretty woo-woo about things these days. I think memory is beneficial if you want to be poetic and tell stories. You have to have at least some memory of context in order to make it mean anything. And I do very much like stories, but I also very much like meaningless noise and colors, so, you know, they're both good. About tree fitty. That is the value of money. About tree fitty. Accurate. Sorry, I'm making sounds about where I'm putting colors now, because I decided I didn't want that color there. What color do I want there? Green might be weird. But orange is accessible, so I'm going to go with orange. No, I hate it. Ah! No! No! I'm gonna make a mess of all this section right here. This color is viscerally upsetting to me. Maybe I should get a bunch of black and just paint over with that. I don't like muddy colors. Though, I have learned from looking at other people's work that using desaturation is the only way to make things look bright and colorful by comparison. That contrast, because if it's all bright and colorful, none of it, like, in particular, catches the attention. So usually when I'm tweaking my representational pinup art stuff, I'll try to do an overlay layer that's got, like, saturation more in the center and gray towards the outside to kind of pop the center out. And trying to be more aware of that too when I color stuff, to try to use little highlights that you wouldn't expect in different colors. Oh, my tinnitus is loud right now. Oh, why is it loud right now? Oh, be quiet, tinnitus. It's probably because it's like the dawn time. I always get, you know, different feelings towards dusk and towards dawn. Dusk usually makes me anxious, kind of agitated. Sometimes sleepy, but not really. And if I do get sleepy, it sucks because it's like, it's not that full sleepy where you could actually go to bed and get a full sleep. You'll just wake back up again. And then it will be dark, and then you'll be like, what? Why? Usually the best sleep that I get is right after dawn or around the, like, ambient noise of other people. Like, even if I know my boyfriend's, like, playing a game, or, I mean, even airports. I've slept well in airports before because I love that ambient noise. I have a theory that my brain is just wired for an evolutionary situation where I would be a night guard and need to be aware of things in the dark, and that's why I'm always so, like, you know, my hearing's really sensitive and my eyes are always looking for things. Like, I'm really good at spotting four-leaf clovers and stuff, so I think I would be really good at spotting any little movement in the bushes. And then, when everybody else wakes up and the village is safe, then I can go to sleep. That's my theory anyway. That's the story that I like to tell myself about my quirky sleeping habits. Do I have quinacridone violet? I don't know what. Let's see if I can. I don't know if I can read that. I have no idea how to say it, but we're about to find out what color it is. It's a color that makes me think of Garnet from Steven Universe. Kind of a deep purplish red. More like Ruby's hair if it was a little less brown. Because if I draw Ruby's hair, it won't be brown. Because, you know, I like my saturated colors. Oh my gosh, my hips. Ooh, 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 oof, oof, oof. Probably should be wrapping up here soon, maybe, because even though I'm enjoying it, I think my body is about done. And this is part of why I've had trouble doing art stuff in a, especially at the computer, because it's easy to zone in and not move and not breathe and forget to, I mean, I'll remember to eat usually, because I'll usually have something next to me that I can munch on, but that, like, fixated mode of the mind, I don't think my body remembers to do very much. So, yeah. Plus, I suppose, technically, isn't it, like, recommended that you get up and stretch and walk around every, like, 30 minutes or something wild like that? Definitely not good at that. moderation does not lend itself to excellence. I don't know. To remarkability. I like this color. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's a little bit. It does kind of bug me that translucency. I don't know how to work with it for sure yet because this is all new to me. But it's got a nice like depth of hue to it. I like this little section because it makes me think Phoenix Wing, and I kind of identify with Phoenixes because I've had to burn my life down and build it back up a few times to be overly dramatic. Also totally looks like a koi fish now. Let me carry this up all the way. I'm just gonna stand and paint and I'll be off screen for a minute here because maybe then my hips will be a little bit more chill. I'm gonna take another picture because I am kind of liking it right now. Except for that part. That's too muddy. Okay. Gonna get some fresh paint water again. Oh, finally back. I stepped outside to be outside for a minute because it's fresh. And the cats are out there enjoying it. I'm so glad we have a nice balcony here. I keep forgetting to grab one more microsecond. Towel for brushes. And my phone goes off, of course. Hello, phone. What do you have to say for yourself, phone? Oh boy. I want maybe a different color than what I have here. I'm gonna try to use some actual black acrylic noir. It's so weird seeing out of the peripheral vision myself moving with a delay. It's like some haunted mirror or something. I like that about Black Mirror, that it's I didn't come to the conclusion on my own, but I saw it pointed out about how Black Mirror is a reference to an electronic screen, you know, when it's turned off. So it's like seeing yourself reflected in technology, but darkly. I feel like the jury is still out in my mind as far as whether or not I like technology. It's amazing in how it lets me connect to people that are far away. But if I couldn't, would it force me to connect to people around me? So, jury's still out in my mind. It definitely makes it a different world with a lot more implications. But also really, really cool because you can relate to people far away. But then, again, it has a downside to that too, because then you can accidentally judge things that you don't have a good scope of understanding of, because you're seeing little glimpses of a culture so outside of your experience that you don't understand the context. It's a mixed bag, which I guess is probably all of life. I'm sounding more philosophical than I mean to. I don't know. Sleepy brain. It is around my usual bedtime, but of course, usual is very relative here. And also, come here, baby. Yes. Come here. Want to cuddle? Molly. I'm guessing that sleep will probably be a bit evasive for me for a while, because that's how it usually is after any time I hang out with people, especially if we're doing like Dungeons and Dragons, which I think the reason that you know keeps me up is because it puts my brain in like a hyper self analytical and trying to understand the social situation mode, and this feels like pretty similar because it feels like on the spot, you know, trying to make replies or, you know, just talk. Yes, baby. Yes, yes, yes. That's my girl. Yes, it's a good baby. Who's a good baby? Music baby. This cat was basically born on my lap. Her mom was very attached style of pregnancy, and yeah, she had 2 litters throughout her life. I know, irresponsible cat parent, but I'm not gonna have babies, so I let my cat have babies twice. It's my whatever. People can, yeah. Anyway, she was a very sweet cat, and her children were amazingly sweet. The sweetest cats I've ever met. Like, I've adopted and rescued most cats, and our Ragnar was a rescue, and so is Goblin. But specifically, Hitomi, I got her, not her, but her mom. I got her when I was kind of freshly out of my divorce and really needed something to be new to focus on. So I drove to Asheville, North Carolina to go get her. And she's a super sweet cat, but she did, like, she was a Scottish fold, and she did have some of those problems that they have with bone. Like, it seems like she's got cartilage issues that make her grumpy, so she much prefers being in warmer environments. It makes her a lot more, well, still not very active, but a lot less grumpy. And yeah, so I thought, I don't know if it was a good thought or not, but if she could have babies, then she could live on through them in a way that was not, I don't know, I'm probably gonna get flack if anybody hears this. Past thoughts. I don't know, but I'm really glad. And Molly is my sweet little darling, and she's super bonded to me, and I really love that, because Hitomi was a calico cat, is a calico cat. She's still alive. She's living with my grandma. She's super happy because they keep their house very warm. And yeah, I was so surprised when she gave birth to another calico, because to my understanding, I didn't think like it was a likely thing to just have a calico. It's not like like with a ginger cat, you're probably gonna have a ginger cat as an offspring, I think. I don't know. I'm not super up on the genetic thing, but it's my understanding that calico is a bit more of a random mutation. So when she was first born, I actually thought she might have just had like a leftover amniotic sac on her that stained her fur to make her look like calico. Because her litter mates, one of them was black and white, and the other one was gray and white. And she was, you know, you could see all white except for the black spot and the black tail. And then I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to be calico spots, but they were. And it's super sweet. And then I named her Molly. And it's funny because when I sent her mom to go live with my grandmother because of their warm house being a better match for her ache bones, they couldn't really understand how to pronounce Hitomi. Like, it was a little too cumbersome, so they started calling her Molly also. So it's like, I know having children isn't supposed to be like you just have a clone of yourself, but they kind of ended up with the same name, and now they're about the same weight, and they're both calico, so it's interesting how that all works out. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. I hope you can see her well here. She just stretched out her paw. Oh my god. Yes, I'm talking about you, baby. I'm talking about you. And don't worry, she's fixed now. No more litters. I've done my irresponsible due diligence already. Rescues from here on out. Though, I don't know. It's one of those things because you get really attached to the creatures that you do happen to have in your life, so you want to justify why you have them. Oh, and I should say, when her litter, I don't think it was her, I think it was the black and white litter mate. When that one was trying to come out of her mom, it was kind of strained, and I was getting really antsy because I didn't want it to suffocate in there, and obviously she was seeming, distressed, and I didn't know. I was probably the riskiest driving I've ever done in my life, driving to the vet in that situation, and I just scooped her up in the little cat bed that she had chosen to start giving birth in, and she wouldn't stay in it though. Of course, she wouldn't, and she was used to being on my lap so much that she just climbed out of her cat bed and sat on my lap while we were driving to the vet, and she's in distress. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the most riskiest thing I've ever done in my life. This is terrible. And then I park at the vet's place. Luckily, I didn't have any car accidents, didn't have any near misses, but it was very, very frantic. And she gave birth on my lap in the car seat right in front of the vet's clinic. I'm like, wow, well, why couldn't you have done this back at the house before I gave you all this distress of driving to the clinic? So I went ahead and I went inside, though, just to make sure with the vet that everything was okay, and they, checked to make sure the kitten was seeming like they were okay, they were breathing, and they were good. And, then they sent me back home saying that she would probably prefer to give birth at home. And then we finished it there. Yeah. And that's my story that I don't know why I'm telling. It was actually, I'm trying to remember how it all went, because the first kitten, the black and white one, was the one that came out in the car, and then I think after... Oh yeah, she gave birth to Molly not long after that. She came along pretty quickly. And then the other one, she acted like she was done giving birth. Hitomi did. She just stopped, and I was like, I don't know if 2 kittens make up for how much big you were, and then after several hours of recuperation, then she gave birth to the gray and white kitten. And that one, it was interesting. It's almost like those last couple of hours in the womb made a difference still, because that one was the beefier kitten, and the first one out was the runt of the litter. I don't know how often that happens, but it was interesting. Okie dokie. Man, that paint water got dark a lot faster. I feel like I'm not supposed to be assessing this and trying to figure out where to paint next, because automatic painting is not like that, but ooh, yeah. It's hard to not overanalyze.
And having music on in the background is making me tempted to sing along with it, especially the sleepier I get. But I don't know if I feel brave enough to sing along with music, so not just yet. Anyway, no. What? These colors are so muddled. So sad. I overmixed these. No more. No more of that muddled color. I need some more blues. Maybe let's try this blue. Turquoise pearl. Ooh, that reminds me. I need to catch up on Steven Universe. Yes, I should probably get some sleep too, or at least end streams so that way I can, you know, be a little bit weirder. Not like I haven't been weird by most scales, but, you know, gotta be able to fart freely and whatnot. And since I kind of figured out how to do this streaming thing, maybe I can make it more of a regular thing. The idea of having regular anything kind of makes me anxious. But hey, it's special times with this whole quarantine thing, so it feels more like some sort of weird, dark celebration of anxious community or something. So maybe I can circumvent my anxiety about commitments and regularity and schedules in light of the fact that we're all extra anxious lately and extra isolated. So, yeah. Tentatively, I would like to make this a more regular thing. And I don't know whether it'll always be acrylic painting or whatever, but it's pretty, I don't know. It's nice to do something a little different to connect a little bit, even if it's just, I don't know, messy randomness. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank you. It was super fun. I'm glad that you were around to talk to because I, of course, couldn't figure out how to do the stream for a long time. And, yep. I'm going to ask folks if there's any... Well, I don't know. I have to work around my brain's ability to be awake anyway. But hopefully next time I can be awake when most other people are. Maybe. We'll see. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, everyone. And yeah, painting. Alright, we're gonna call it here. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Like how it asked me, am I sure I want to end the stream? No, not really. I'm not sure of anything. But here we go.